Hello everyone, this is Mumbo here, welcome back, and today is episode 3 on the HermitCraft server. It's good to see you all here, still enjoying my Let's Play episodes. We are back, and as you can see, I am lagging quite heavily, and I just want to make it clear that I am actually in the process of rendering out a video right now, so I apologise for that, but I just really wanted to get this episode on HermitCraft done, so I'm going to be moving about very slowly to try and stop this from happening. Now, as you can see, from this episode, we haven't really made too much progress, but I want to get it right out in the open. We have got some ambitious plans for today's episode. We are going to obviously continue to clear out this rainforest. That should be done within the first 5 minutes, I'm sure. Whoa there, Tiger. But the main plan for this episode is that we want to make ourselves a hostile mob farm. That is the main goal, the main aim. Now, I don't know if I am going to finish it in today's episode because I've got to design it and then obviously gather up the resources because it's going to use a hell of a lot. It's going to be a big one. And yeah, I need to think through how I'm going to do it. So it should be quite tough, but once we get all of that underway, then we'll have ourselves a ton of awesome resources. So I just caught a glimpse of those spinning squids over there. That made me chuckle a little bit. But there are a couple of things that I just want to chat to you about real quick before we start. Donators, alright? I know you guys don't really like me talking about that kind of thing, but it came to my attention that I didn't actually change my description for a while, and it still said that I was going to be building a house on my LP world. Well, yes, I'm going to be building a house for anyone that donates over £20 on HermitCraft. So if you do donate over £20, then you will be getting your house on this server. So that's just a nice thing that I thought I would mention. And cool, I had something else that I wanted to mention. Oh, but it slipped straight from my mind. So I'll probably come back to that at some point if I do remember it. But anyway, yep. For the start of this episode, we are going to be working on clearing out the rest of this jungle. There isn't going to be any time lapse for this one because you saw enough at the end of last episode. So I'm just going to crack on and just start destroying this place. So 2 hours has passed since you last saw me, and since then I have done a little bit more on deforesting this area. You can see that the line has now stepped back a little bit further, but I have just reached a conclusion. We don't actually need to clear out much more of the jungle. I think it would look cooler if we had a little bit of jungle around. Sorry if you can't see anything at the minute. It's raining. It always rains on HermitCraft. It's also dark. Can't really do much about it. But yeah, basically, if we took out all of this jungle here, that means we'd be left with the bare barrier. And it came to my attention quite quickly that that wouldn't really look that good. We're better off just having an open space and then a thin line of jungle going around the outside. So that is what we are going to be keeping for the minute. Now we are going to head into a creative world and we are going to try out designing our mob spawner because we want this to be as efficient as possible. We're going to be using a water flushing system because that means that we can get as many spawning spaces as possible, probably about 8 per line, which is pretty useful. So I want to get way over 1,000 spawning spaces in this thing. And that might sound a little bit ambitious, but it should work well once it's done. So I've been playing about with a couple of designs in my testing world, and this is one that I came up with. Now you can see I'm in a half slab world, so all of the mobs are spawning in this system. So that means this is a bit of an over dramatic view of what's going to happen, but you can see that there are quite a lot of spawning spaces. Things are spawning very quickly in there. For some reason it seems to be mostly on the top layers, which is a bit peculiar, but I don't really understand why that's happening. Anyway, we'll let that slide. When you hit this button down here, obviously this will be automated on a fairly long timer. You'll see that the water flows out and all of our mobs just pour out of the system. This is great fun to watch. Look, they just flow out. All of their drops landing down here. Now you can see I'm getting a little bit of lag, and that is just because of how many drops we have on the ground here. I've been playing around with this for about 2 minutes, and this is all the stuff that we've got. There's still things flowing out of the mobs, the mob spawner, and then you just hit the button again. Obviously, once again, that will be automated. The water will retract from all of the layers, and then things will begin to spawn once again. And as you can see, it fills up pretty quickly. So I'm going to build a full-scale model of this in the testing world, and then I'll copy and paste it onto the HermitCraft map so that we can test it out in a real world environment, and then finally I'll get onto building it on the actual HermitCraft server. So the entire structure has been built, and I gotta tell you, this is a lot of fun. I still have the flash button, haven't set up the automatic system yet, but just watch this. Just watch the mobs absolutely pour out of this thing. It just looks so funny. And then you just hit the button again, that will turn off the water, and it will allow a bunch more to spawn. Now you can see I've hit this button 3 times, just 3 times, and this is how many drops we have got. So this should be pretty good for our survival world. Now I hate to do another creative mode bit, but I just wanted to show off that I have imported the mob spawner into a world. This is in fact the HermitCraft world, just my own single player version. And I just want to see how it will run 80 blocks above the ground, which is what we're going to be having in my base on the HermitCraft server. So we'll just hit the flush button here. Oh, actually the water's on at the minute. So we'll hit that button, that will retract the water. And then we'll be AFKing above it in HermitCraft, so we'll go right the way up here, and that means that we don't load any of the ground beneath it, so no mobs should spawn down there. That should have given it enough time to generate a couple, about 10 seconds, and then we hit this button and hopefully we'll get a decent flushing of mobs. I don't really know, I haven't tried it yet, but you know what? Yeah, we've got a decent amount there. That is very encouraging. That means that it should work like a charm on the HermitCraft server, which is great to see. Let's just have a look at the drops down here. Yes, that's looking awesome. Now I thought I'd give you another really quick update on the creative mode world. I've set up a little bit of a test here. You can see we've got loads of hoppers and an item sorting system. I left this AFK running for around about 6 hours with me standing above the mob spawner so that none of this ground down below was loaded, just to see how many drops we can expect. And here it is. So this is just 6 hours of AFKing. You can see that it is almost 4 double chests full, and it's the same for every type of item. You can see that that goes right the way up. So does the creeper dust. You can see that goes all the way down there. So that means we'll have loads of TNT. And the zombie flesh goes even higher, right the way up. That chest is now full, so it goes right the way up to here. Really getting ridiculous amounts of items. So this is an extremely efficient mob farm. Now we're going to hop into the HermitCraft server and we're going to get building. Welcome back to the HermitCraft server. We are finally back on survival after that little flurry on the creative mode, but here we are dead in the middle of our 10 by 10 chunk area. I just measured all of that out. So here it is. This is the dead center, and that is where we are going to be centering our mob spawner around. Now unfortunately this isn't square, it's a bit, you know, rectangular, so that means that it's not going to be perfectly symmetrical, but that's fine by me. So we're just going to get on and start building. I'm going to pillar up to 80 blocks high in the sky, and then we'll crack on. So here we are up in the sky, and you can see that we have a little bit of a plan forming. Essentially this is the main body of the platform. It is 6 wide at the minimum all the way across, and then you have the little spiky bits where the water flows slightly further, and then this is the entire length of it. Now it doesn't really look that long at the minute, but I guess once you get all the things around it, it starts to look a lot bigger. So I'm going to start placing down the blocks. Hopefully we can get the flooring of the first layer in, and then I'll get back to you once that's done. Now we have got the flooring down for our bottom layer, and also we have got half of the bottom bit of the structure done. So you can see that we are still using those leaves down across the bottom, the leaf trim, because that looks really cool. We have our redstone down. We're not going to be using the regular wood for the redstone lines just because I don't have enough of it, and this really is going to be using a lot of resources. So yeah, we're just going to be sticking with the jungly wood here, but at the minute, you know what, it's alright. And there we have it, ladies and gents. Our first layer is entirely complete. All of the redstone is down, none of the dispensers are in just yet, and that is because, like I said a minute ago, they are probably one of the hardest things to make in this one. We're going to need so many bows, so much string, it's going to be quite ridiculous. But there we go, first layer is done. We've only got 4 more to go. We're 1/5 of the way through already, and it's only been about half an hour. This really is quite an easily recreatable design, especially now that we got the footprint down. That means that we can just copy this from above. So I'm fairly confident that we are going to get this done today. Hooray! Now our second layer is finished, and this thing is really coming along very nicely. It's not taking very long to build, which is obviously lovely, because I hate things that take ages, just projects that will drag out for hours. This seems to have only taken about an hour, and already we are almost halfway there on the structure side of things. Now obviously, haven't put any of the dispensers in, haven't done any of the technical redstone. I do have redstone lines going along on the outside that you can see here, but obviously they don't have the torch towers in the middle or anything like that. That's just something that I'll get onto at a later date. I'll be able to do that from the outside, so that's all fine, but they're not essential right now. We need to get this all built and ready for usage, and it is coming along nicely, as I have mentioned. So I'm going to get to work on the third layer, and then we will hop on down and we'll take a look at it from below, because I am sort of interested into how this looks, because I am trying my best to make it look at least half decent. Oh god, it appears that I've forgotten something fairly essential. I forgot to bring torches along, so that means that we're going to have mobs spawning in our mob spawner whilst we work on it. Well, that's going to add a bit of a challenge, isn't it? Now, the 3 layers have been officially completed. That is all of them done. So now we're going to take a look at it from below. I'm going to just leap into this little lake here. Whoa, it looks alright, I guess. Very incomplete. It kind of looks like a pair of jaws up there. That's a bit silly, but that's only because we haven't done quite a lot of it. It came to my attention just now that we haven't actually done the side parts, which is alright because they're just flat walls of wood, but that is sort of frustrating, as that means that I have to go up and down on each side. But at the minute, you know what? It's not looking too bad. It looks like a bit of a leafy box. I'm not even going to go there, but you know, you can't really do much about it. Mob spawners never really look pretty, and I think that this actually looks okay. Once we get a couple of extra layers on, and then the ceiling and the sides, it will look complete, and I guess that's what we're looking for. The rain has finally cleared. I've done a tiny bit more work on the mob spawner. I did in fact die, which was pretty frustrating. I went all the way up there and then just got blown up by a creeper because I didn't put the torches down. Flew all the way down and just completely exploded on the floor. But you can see that I've got the sides on now, so it's looking a tiny bit more complete than beforehand. It still looks a bit like a box in the sky, but that was expected. It's a very box-like design. It was never designed to be the prettiest thing in the world, especially using the materials that we are, let's face it. But other than that, it does look okay. It's going to be a very efficient mob spawner, at least that's the plan. Our killing area is probably going to be around about this level. It's going to be raised off the ground, and then we're going to have the sorter that will then put all of the items down into the ground. Now, I will run you through my plans for what I'm going to be doing for this central section of our perimeter, because trust me, it is really, really awesome. But for now, we're going to be concentrating, obviously, on our mob spawner. So I am going to try and get the 4th layer on, and then I'll catch you when I'm up there. Right, so it's been a couple of days since my last cut, and in that time I've made a bunch of progress. Hopefully it was represented as a time lapse, but if I haven't been able to do that, then I apologise. This is what we've got. This is it. It's the mob farm. It's got 5 layers. It's got the ceiling. We have begun to add the redstone in. You can see that we have all the dispensers in here. There were 60 in this farm, so that's quite a lot. It's also going to require a lot of buckets. To make all the buckets, it was 180 iron. You can see that we have all of them in our inventory here, and they are eventually going to be going into each of those dispensers, and they will dispense the water for the flushing system, so all of our mobs fly out and into the middle. Now, this is my biggest concern. I have got no clue what I am going to do down here, because to do the layer of hoppers that I did in the creative mode world, that would require 1047 iron, which I do have, but I don't fancy spending that much of it. However, I think that might be my only option, because so many items are flying out of this. We couldn't use hopper minecarts, that just wouldn't work, it wouldn't pick all of them up. We obviously can't use water, because that wouldn't kill the mobs unless we push them all into a lava blade. That's not a bad idea, but lava is quite a tough thing to get, and to get it in such large quantities would just be really frustrating. So I think we're just going to go with a layer of hoppers. Now, I don't know how far down this is going to be. It looks like it's actually going to be fairly low to the ground. We're going to have to make it around about this level, and that means it's going to look slightly odd. It's just going to be a layer of hoppers. In fact, we're going to have to go down even further. So we might actually just want to make this on the ground floor level. But that means that we're going to have to redesign my idea for the center spawn area, which is a bit of a shame. I didn't really think this through that much. We probably should have had this a little bit higher. Ah, that's annoying. But before we start doing any of the killing area, we have to finish off the mob farm. So I'm going to do the rest of the redstone that goes on this side, all of the torches and the torch tower going up the side. Then I'll work on the automation flushing system with the hopper timer, and we'll see how it all looks once it's done. And there we go, the redstone for this side is now done. You can see the torch tower goes all the way up and down. I'm trying to work out how I'm going to get down from this scaffolding area up here. But there we have it. You can see that they're alternating in redstone signals, and that's so that some dispensers activate and then the other ones activate on the falling edge, and that just means that it reduces the lag, because lag problems you have to consider on servers because they do get a little bit mental sometimes. But anyway, I'm going to head down to the bottom and we're going to work on that automation system, and I'll catch you in a bit. Just another quick progress update. I have filled in all of the dispensers with the water buckets, so they are all in place now, ready for the flushing, and I guess we could do a test one. That'd be a nice and easy way to clear out all of these torches, because then we don't have to deal with mobs spawning on us, I assume, so that's quite nice. But we would have to take out all of this scaffolding down here. Wouldn't want any mobs landing on this and then coming after me, because that could prove difficult. Another thing that I have to consider is the fact that I don't have a killing platform at the minute, so we are going to overrun that bottom area with mobs if they do survive, which some of them will, as some of them will land in there. So that's just another thing that I have to be careful of. But other than that, I guess this is ready for the tester, so I'm going to grab a lever, and then I'm going to wire it up to this redstone down here, and we'll see what the flushing mechanism looks like. Alright, here goes nothing. Just plonk down our lever, give it a quick flick to get the pulse, and has that got far enough? Nope. No, the redstone's not travelling far enough. Great. That's a good start, I guess. Let's do it over here, right? Here we go. We got the pulse. Now, hopefully, yeah, the water is coming to the edge, and all of those torches are gone, so that means that any mobs that would have been in there would have been completely flushed out. And then let's see if the retraction mechanism is working fine. It should be, considering it's the same circuit. There we go. All of that is gone. Now what that does mean is we are now going to have tons of mobs spawning in our mob spawner, and we haven't entirely finished it yet, which is a little bit worrying. Let's see if any have spawned, just out of interest. I'm sure I'm in the radius of not spawnable, but you never know. Yeah, nothing's come through yet. But I guess what I could do is just set up the hopper timer up here and then connect it up to the redstone. I don't have any other stuff for that, so I'll have to go back down to the bottom, but that would probably be quite a good idea. And then I'll leave the water here so that no mobs can spawn whilst I'm down there, because that would be pretty tragic. Now the main bulk of the hopper timer system is in place, with the two monostable circuits on either side to control the water flows. That is all in place, apart from the fact that I don't have comparators and I don't have repeaters, so I'm going to have to head back into spawn to see if I can pick up some quartz from someone. Hopefully someone's going to be generous and lend me some, because that is definitely an item that I don't have. I haven't really ventured off into the nether yet. I don't even have any glowstone, and I am going to need glowstone for this build, because the outside parts where the redstone is on each of these layers, that is actually a spawnable space, so we need to watch out for any mobs that are going to be spawning on there, because that could cause problems. However, I don't know if mobs can spawn on redstone. I really can't remember. If they can't, then that will solve that problem for us, but if they can, then yep, we're going to need some glowstone so that we can light up those outside parts. Also, it will look pretty cool. It will light up the edge of the mob spawner, because at the minute it's looking like a bit of a dark block. Massive thank you to Azuma Void for giving me these two comparators. That was very nice of him. So that means that we've got all of the resources to make our little timer, which is good. So our entire mob spawner is now finished, so I've hopped back into the creative mode world so we can work out a way to funnel in all of these items, because if we had an entire platform of hoppers like we had originally here, that would use well over 1,000 hoppers, and that's about 5,000 iron, which is just crazy, mind-blowing stuff, so we don't want to be doing that. Now I did set up a lava blade system here, and it worked quite well, except I am suspicious as to whether some of the drops are getting burnt up, because we didn't get the same kind of rates as we were getting over here with this glorious machine that was just filling up like an absolute beast. Now, after observing this for a little while, if we just come right the way up here and wait for a batch to spawn, we'll just go right the way up so that we don't load up any of the caves down below, you'll see that all of the mobs land in one of these two sections. They never ever land in the middle, and you'll see that right now. So look, they all pull down, and they're all on the sides. A couple of them do land in the middle, but it's not really that many. And that means that we could just have 2 lines of hoppers, 3 on either side, so 3 there, and then skip the middle 2 and then go 3, and eventually at one point we might fill in the middle 2 lanes, but for the minute I think that will do alright. So here we are then, we're about to craft 2 whole stacks worth of hoppers. That is a hell of a lot of iron. Luckily we've got the iron farm running in spawn, and I think I might head over there in a little bit just to check how it's all milling over, but there is the first stack. And the second stack as well. There we go. This is the most hoppers I think I've ever had. This is pretty awesome indeed. 1 lane of hoppers has now been officially completed. Here it is. It's looking good. Very hoppery. I guess I'm going to cover this entire area in half slabs to prevent any mobs from spawning. Also, what we have to remember is that some of these mobs will have feather falling boots, so they might survive, which means that I'll probably have to surround this whole area with cactuses, so then they'll just walk into those and hopefully die from that. But yeah, we have got 1 lane of hoppers. I still have 50 left, so we should be able to do at least half of the other one, and then I'll just have to go along and craft some more, I guess. Iron supplies are now running a wee bit on the low side. In fact, resource supplies are running a wee bit low, but you know what? We have got ourselves another 56 hoppers, which means that we should have well enough to fill in that area and also set up a little bit of a sorting system, which will be nice. That means that we can sort out all our items, gather up all the things that we need, and get away from all the things that we don't. I just got blown up by a creeper inside my mob spawner, and look what it has done. Oh, that is huge. That is a massive explosion. How did that even happen? That's taken out like 4 of the things. That must have been like more than 1 creeper blew up then, surely. Oh, why does this always happen? Why do bad things happen to good people? I died again. This is actually getting so stupid now. A creeper blew up my bed. So now I've had to come all the way back from spawn. Oh, why is it that this is happening? I don't understand why this is happening at all. I've built almost everything to perfection, and now everything is going tits up, and it's really getting on my nerves. I'm not happy bunny right now, really not. So I finally got rid of all of the scaffolding around our mob spawner. I died so many times doing that. That was probably the most deaths in a short amount of time that I have got without being killed by another person. I think I've got about 6, 7 there. You could tell that I just really was quite angry, but there we have it. That is all done. Now we just need to run all of these hoppers into chests. I believe we have a couple of item drops already, as well as half my stuff, because most of the stuff that I died with has gone into all these hoppers, but there we go. So yeah, we've got already a bunch of drops coming through, which is nice to see considering I haven't really been in the proper AFK position. Now I'm just going to pillar up above our mob spawner, and then we're just going to stand up there and AFK for the rest of the day and see how many drops we can get. You know what, guys? I just died again, and it's getting ridiculous now. I think that's 9 times in the past hour. It's just getting so stupid, and I don't know why it keeps happening. I just keep dying for stupid reasons, and for that reason, I'm going to be ending... Oh, God, here we go. I'm probably going to die again here now as well. Brilliant, because I don't have any flipping armor. Oh, for God's sake. See, this is what I mean. It's just really getting on my nerves. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to end the episode here, because otherwise I'm just going to have a nervous breakdown and probably end up killing someone. So, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit that like button. If you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.